1. Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Jordan Darensbourg here. We are tracking an area of showers over portions of our eastern zones right now. We're going to go ahead and take this full because we have a couple of updates, including an advisory that's just been issued for portions of central Texas. And we've had a few isolated showers to start. But as we head throughout the course of the afternoon, we are watching the chances for some of those stronger thunderstorms. It'll mainly be east of Mason, but pretty much everyone in the KVUE viewing area is under that 2 out of 5 slight risk for severe weather. So damaging winds are going to be the main threats here. And the reason for that is we are expecting a bit of a quasi-linear area of storms making their way through. Now, there could be 1 or 2 cells out ahead of it. That could be a hail producer or produce a brief spin-up tornado, but we're mainly looking at damaging winds that could get up to around 60 miles an hour at times. So definitely want to make sure you're securing those loose objects as well. Now, as we go hour by hour, this is around 11 a.m., could still see 1 or few of those isolated showers still hanging around. But then as we head into later on this afternoon, we're expecting highs getting to the lower 80s and maybe even upper 80s out in the hill country. And we're going to have a brief period of sunshine as well because a dry line is going to be making its way through central Texas as that first area of showers and maybe a rumble of thunder makes their way through. But then things start to get a little interesting, especially as we head into 10 o'clock on your Thursday night. And this is when that line of storms, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw this out for you a little bit because I think it's important for y'all to see exactly what's going on with this system. So you've got, this is the main line of storms right around here, right? And then you've got that warm, moist air coming up out ahead of that line of storms. That's that lifting mechanism right here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try and see if I could change the color on this because I want to show y'all something very important in regards to it. It's very, very, very something you want to see because we've got a frontal system that'll make its way through. And this is the frontal boundary right about here. And I'll go ahead and draw the red little triangles here. This is our frontal boundary. And that frontal boundary is our lifting mechanism. And that lifting mechanism, that is going to be what's driving those thunderstorms. And that front is going to move pretty quickly through central Texas. Here it is at around 1 a.m. Everything's pretty much out of central Texas. And by the time we get to around 5 a.m., we could have another round of storms that can make their way through on the back end, which we don't expect to be severe, but definitely could cause a few rumbles of thunder and wake you up if you weren't awoken by the previous system. But by the time we get to around 7 a.m., we could see 1 to 2 isolated showers. And look at those temperatures, though. Lower 40s, even upper 30s popping up in some spots because that's a very strong cold front that makes their way through. And then later on your St. Patrick's Day, we expect everything to calm down, but the winds are still going to be a bit on that breezy side. Now, for the rest of the day, we're looking at wind speeds that could be getting close to 20 miles an hour and gusts getting up to around 30 miles an hour. And now this is the new advisory that just came out from the National Weather Service. It's a wind advisory from 9 tonight all the way until noon tomorrow. And the reason for that is those winds, especially not just in front of, but behind that frontal boundary as well. They could gust up to around 45 miles an hour with sustained winds that could get up to around 35 miles an hour. So please secure all your loose objects. It includes all of central Texas with the exception of Mason County. So I'm going to go ahead, take myself back up here, and I'm going to read some of your questions. Austin, we are asking about it. Who's asking about it? Karen Williams asking about Austin. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the timer on, and I'll put myself on in addition to this camera to kind of show you guys, because starting off with a few isolated showers at around 11 a.m. and then as we move forward throughout the course of the afternoon, the dry line moves in and we expect to be a bit on that sunnier side for just a little bit. And that's going to allow our temperatures to warm up a little bit, especially with that drier air coming in from the west. But it's only going to be brief because we've got that lifting mechanism on the way in the form of a cold front. And I'm going to take it full one more time so that you all can see it. And we're going to draw this out for you one more time. So this is our front right about here, okay? And then you've got the lines here with that frontal boundary, the little triangle thingies. And then, let's see, one more line. There you go. And then you've got the warm, moist air out ahead of it, right? And then you've got much colder air behind it. And those two are going to be going after one another, right? And the battleground at around 10 p.m. is going to be right in here. And where you see that, that's where you get those strong winds. That's where you get that deep convection between those two air masses going after one another with that moist air in place. That's how we get those stronger thunderstorms. So now we're going to slowly drag this forward to kind of show y'all that Austin is looking more so at around 10:30, 11, I should say. And then by the time we get to around midnight, it's entirely possible that everything in terms of severe weather will be out of our area, but we could see a few isolated light showers behind that frontal boundary. This is at around 1 a.m. Everything looks to be out of central Texas, but then as we head to around 2, 3 o'clock, maybe even 4 in the morning on St. Patrick's Day, we're mainly looking at just a few areas of thunderstorms, and it's not going to be severe because especially those temperatures, I mean, we're going to already be down in the 40s by that point, so it's not likely that we'll get enough instability with those cooler temperatures to warrant any severe risk with that. Then as we head into around 7 a.m., could see a few light showers hanging around before everything, for the most part, tries to clear up by around 10, 11 a.m., and then eventually as we head into the afternoon, we expect to get to the mid-50s. So a whole lot going on. So let's see what else. Marcia is asking if it's going to be raining Saturday. Saturday, we expect maybe 1 to 2 isolated showers. And I'm going to show y'all the model for the futurecast because it's going to get much colder past this. And we're going to be getting down to around the 30s for lows in some spots on Saturday morning, especially out in the hill country. But as for shower chances, we're looking mainly south of Austin, out over portions like San Antonio, along I-10, those areas. But then, take a look at this at around 11 a.m. Yeah, get a load of that. That is not a typo or a glitch. That's our models printing out the possibility of a few snowflakes out in the hill country. However, and I want to make myself clear here, and I'm going to take myself full for this part, we're not expecting any travel impacts from these snowflakes whatsoever. It's not going to be like that winter storm a month ago, and it's definitely not going to be like February 2021. So please, please, please do not freak out when you see white coming into your area, especially if you're in the hill country. We're not expecting travel impacts. Everything should be fine. The ground largely will be too warm. Now let me go ahead and put it back on max 1 to kind of show you guys how we might see a few flurries through early Sunday afternoon before clearing out for Sunday evening. Now, I'm going to show you our brief look at our severe threats again, because I know what you're going to be asking, what are the main threats, because we just talked about timing and everything like that. But damaging winds, those are going to be the main threats. A wind advisory was just issued for 9 p.m. tonight until noon on Friday, and that is because of that line of storms making their way through. So we're taking a look here at what some of you guys are commenting. Richard Marquez is like, let it rain, but no hail. Bro, I'm with you. let it rain. We don't need any hail. We don't need any hail damage on cars. If you have a carport or if you're in an apartment complex that's covered parking and you're parked under there, you're fine. But if your car is uncovered in a garage, make sure you have it covered in case there is some hail. So definitely you want to make sure you have your cars in outdoor furniture protected from the hail. So Kempner, Richard Marquez checking in. Hello. I hope you guys have had a great morning so far. And I'm going to go ahead and take myself full for this part because this is going to be pretty important while I read you guys. Let's see. We have a new comment. They canceled the Willie Nelson Luck concert for today. It's going to be tomorrow. Cindy, we're looking at mainly early in the morning for tomorrow. And for that, we're going to put our timing back up. And I'm going to put myself in there as well to kind of show you guys while I'm reading your comments what we've got going on. Now, again, this is around 4:30, 5 o'clock. We're looking at around 80 over the Austin area, Camp Mabry. This model has 80 at Camp Mabry, but we've got some other areas, especially out in the hill country, getting to the mid, maybe even upper 80s. And a lot of that has to do with that drier air that heats up faster. But then watch this. As we move forward here, this is at around 10 o'clock. This is when that line of storms makes its way through. And so I'm going to take this back full, and I'm going to draw, and see if I can draw a frontal boundary here. Let's see. See if we can draw a frontal boundary here. If this is the right front, nah, this is stationary. But yeah, this is definitely a cold front. Y'all get the idea. Let's see. Frontal boundary. Never mind. That's not what we're looking for. Okay. Let's see if we can get that frontal boundary set up. So what we're doing is we're setting up a frontal boundary, and we're going to show you guys and demonstrate that we have that potential for some stronger thunderstorms later on tonight as well. So what's going on here is that this is supposed to be an actual cold front. It's showing up as a stationary front, but y'all get the idea. This is our cold front right here. And what's going to end up happening is you've got this warm, moist air coming in from the south right here, right? And then you've got cold air at a stronger speed acting upon that area of warm air. And that's what creates that front. And what's going to happen is that those two air masses are going to clash together, and with that moisture, with that cape in place, that's where we're going to have those thunderstorms really start to pop off. So really, what we're dealing with is an area of demarcation pretty much between the cold air and the warm air, and they're going to combine, and that's where we're going to have the chances for those stronger storms. But then, as we head through around Friday, and I'm going to go ahead and clear out that front, because the front is going to clear out. We could start to clear out by around 1 a.m., but we do have another chance for maybe a few rumbles of thunder as you head to around 4 a.m., and that could wake y'all up a little bit as well. It's going to be on the back end, and it's going to be much cooler, so more than likely, we don't expect this to turn severe. But then, as we head into Friday morning, could start off with a little bit of shower activity before clearing out by the time we get to Friday afternoon. So to answer your question, Cindy, we do not expect shower activity for Friday afternoon. Saturday looks for the most part dry, but we'll have to watch for the potential for maybe a light snow flurry or sleet pellet out in the hill country. So Wimberley, Melissa is asking about you guys. So here's the good thing about Wimberley. This model, well, not so good thing is that this model may shun y'all in terms of rainfall totals. But what I can tell you is that by the time we get to around 11-ish, this model has us seeing that storm pass right through Wimberley. And then as we head through around 1 a.m., that is when we'll be seeing that storm pass through pretty much the entirety of the KVUE viewing area. Could see a few downpours out in the coastal plains, maybe a light shower in the hill country, but besides that, not really much to write home about afterwards. However, 4 a.m. we could see 1 to 2 widely scattered thunderstorms hanging around, and that's largely due to the back end of it, some moisture still hanging around, and that could be a few of those isolated storms still hanging. But then Mac, about 30 minutes prior to Wimberley, so around 10:30, we're looking at the Austin area. Alexa, will there be 30-degree weather? We may get down to the upper 30s to start meteorological, or actually astronomical spring on Monday, but we do not expect to be actually below freezing unless you are way out in the hill country. So we're not really expecting super cold temperatures, but we're going to be chilly, and we could be seeing a cold rain over these next few days. So we're going to be definitely keeping tabs on it. Of course, we are going to be talking a little bit more about this as we head through your midday. So before we go, we're going to see if you guys have any last minute questions before we call it a morning and then get ready for our midday show, which is in less than 30 minutes. Roxy Winston, did I get it right? Roxy, asking what time for 290 East. Well, here we go. So 290 East, we're going to backtrack here a little bit, just a few light showers early on in the afternoon, but then later in the afternoon we warm up quite nicely to around those lower 80s, maybe even upper 80s in the hill country. But then, thank you, Roxy, I'm glad I got it right. But anyways, by the time we get to around 10 o'clock, that's when that line starts to reach the Austin Metro, areas just to the north of there, Cedar Park, Leander, you guys, as well as Taylor, Rockdale, portions of Milam County, and then 290 East, we're expecting it around 11 o'clock. So 290 East, you're pretty much on par with the rest of the Austin metropolitan area. And then by the time we get to around 1 a.m. on your Friday morning, everything should be all but out of here. And then by the time we get to around 4 a.m., when I said everything should be out of here, I'm talking in terms of severe weather, because we do still have that potential for maybe 1 or 2 strong storms. Then, as we head through around 7 a.m., start off with a few light showers for your St. Patty's Day before drying out later on in the afternoon. We're only going to get to the mid to upper 50s, though. And another note, it may feel like those mid 30s as you step out the door on Friday morning because of those wind chills as a result of those strong winds that have prompted the wind advisory. Richard, there is going to be a little bit of sunshine. There is going to be a little bit of sunshine later on in the afternoon behind that dry line. So we expect that. But we do have a chance for some thunderstorms later on, of course, and we're going to talk a little bit about it coming up in a little bit. But right now, it is 10:36. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will talk to you guys at 11 a.m. live on KVUE for midday. Thank you.